The Vietnam War ended some 40 years ago, over 40 years ago, but there are people still living with the consequences of the war every day. You see, the Vietnamese people, they were sprayed like they were bugs by the US with a chemical named Agent Orange, committing war crimes against innocent people. It started with President Kennedy, which for some reason is the most popular president in the US history. And this continued throughout the war, exposing over 4 million people with the chemical. This number has actually been challenged by the US, but they also say that they didn't know the chemical was so dangerous. They haven't actually admitted that these sicknesses are from the chemical. This is kind of a paradox, but still using this in warfare. My opinion, they are not very credible when they say this. They remind me of a bully that just won't take responsibility for his action. But I guess they rarely do. One of the reasons for my recent Vietnam trip was to do a photo essay, a photo story about the ongoing effect of those war crimes committed by the US during the Vietnam War. It's a far cry from being the only war crime the US are guilty of during this war, but what's special about this is children are still being born sick, seriously sick. I went to this children's hospital and I had just never seen anything like this. They were so sick, deformed, missing limbs, and these huge tumors. I will not show you these images in this video, but what I will show you is a beautiful 31-year-old Vietnamese woman called Thãnh. I visited her at her humble home in central Vietnam. Here's her story and the photos I took during my visit. Thãnh is a 31-year-old Vietnamese woman and she is very sick from Agent Orange. Her mother got infected by those chemicals during and after the war. She had 4 children. Thãnh, her twin sister, but she died only 7 days old. One boy who died 7 weeks old, but Thãnh has one older sister and she is not affected by the chemical, but they never meet. Her sister is very poor and she lives somewhere in Saigon. Thãnh's father, he left. He wanted nothing to do with his sick children, and so Thãnh's mother is her only caretaker. She needs care 24/7 with everything, to eat, to go to the toilet. So her mother can't really work, so there is no income. Put together, they do get about $35 a month from the government. They do give her mother some money because of her old age, and Thãnh gets a little money because of her conditions from the government. But together, this is $35 a month. But the cost of living in their humble home, eating rice, is around $90 a month. So every month they add about $50 to their debt. The amount they owe right now isn't really important. It's just more than they will ever be able to pay. Thãnh is very smart, although she is sometimes dismissed like she is not thinking clearly because of her conditions. But she is smart. I don't believe she fully understands why she is how she is. For the longest time, she just cried all day, every day, most of her life. Not just because of her conditions, which she did not fully understand, like I mentioned, but mostly for her aging mother, who struggled more day by day to take care of her. Thãnh understands her mother has no life outside their home because of her. About 3 years ago, Thãnh's mother's patience and hard work started to show massive improvement in Thãnh's condition. She stopped crying so much and she started communicating much more, with her mother especially, but still everybody she met. And me, I was the first foreigner to visit them, and she communicated with me like we just met yesterday. She haven't slapped me a high five with her feet because she cannot use her hands. So she has to put her feet to use for just about anything she does. And that's actually remarkable to see the control she has. She can draw. As you can see here, she draws, she paints with her feet, beautiful pictures. She draws things that she saw the few times she gone outside, and of course, what she sees on television. It is very important to stimulate her. It's the key of any improvement of her condition. She will never be okay. But with care, her life can still improve significantly. But her future is very uncertain. Her mother is now 67 years old. And when she dies, Thãnh really has nobody. Efforts have been made to contact her sister, but she cannot take care of her. Not that she is a bad person, she's just very poor. And poor people in Vietnam, they work a lot because if they don't, they don't eat. They don't have any shelter. So it's not an option, they have to work. If her mother would die tomorrow, Thãnh's only option will be an institution which they do call a school for the disabled. But in reality, this is no school. This is a storage room where sick people sleep on the floor and wait to die. My friend, Nguyen Van Phuc, is working on another solution for her, something different. The plan is not clear, but one solution would be to support her sister financially so she could take care of Thãnh. Well, that's given if she wants something to do with that, and this also needs to be funded. One idea is for Thãnh to sell her art online. That would generate some income for her. But it takes time and it's a bit complicated logistically given where she lives, but that's an ongoing project. Phuc has made a crowdfunding page for Thãnh, and if you want to help, you can. The link is in the description. The saddest thing about all this is that there are still huge areas in Vietnam contaminated. Dioxin from Agent Orange has persisted in the Vietnamese environment since the war, settling in the soil and settlement, and entering the food chain through animals and fish, which feed in the contaminated areas, still making people sick. It's worth a mention that Agent Orange was manufactured by Monsanto, basically manufactured by the devil himself. A spokesperson for Monsanto publicly declared that Agent Orange did not cause any serious long-term health effects. A sickening lie and an infuriating example of the length big businesses will go to protect their reputation. Although there has been some money received from the US to care for these people, you can clearly see from this example that it's not helping. What the US should have done a long time ago is to clean up their own mess, clean the chemicals from the ground to stop more people getting sick. They also should have cleaned up the mines and the unexploded bombs, which are still causing death and mutilations. But they never will, because it's expensive. And they would probably look at it as an admission of guilt. And poor people are just not that important. Having money is like having a superpower. Few people have it, but with it you can do a lot of good. You can change people's lives for the better. You can cure the sick. You can be a hero. Help us help Thãnh. She did nothing wrong, yet her life was taken away by a foreign superpower long before she was born. She had nothing to do with the politics, with the circumstances of her illness, yet she is stuck with the consequences with no outside help, and that's just not fair. Thank you for watching. Bye.